No one warns you that your mom might one day try to arrange your gay marriage like she's matchmaking in a Hallmark movie. And certainly not with a man who cries at Folgers commercials. I didn't expect it. Not the knock on the door, not the nervous smile from my mother, and definitely not the tall, delicate stranger standing beside her holding a bouquet of sunflowers and blinking too fast like he was on the edge of tears. Again. His name was Evan. Daniel, meet Evan. He just moved back to Portland. He's sweet, brilliant, works with autistic kids, and single. Just like someone else I know, she added, giving me a look that had "make me a grandmother" already written all over it. Evan smiled softly, extending his hand. "It's nice to meet you," he said, voice trembling just enough to make me feel like I was about to hurt him by accident. I shook his hand. Warm, soft, too soft, I thought. This would never work. 3 weeks later, we were on our 4th accidental date. Movie nights, dog park walks. Neither of us owned dogs. Wine tasting where Evan teared up over a Pinot Noir that reminded him of his grandfather. I didn't understand how someone could feel that much and still function. He cried at the news, when a barista spelled his name right, and once when I forgot my umbrella and got soaked said I looked like a wet angel of sadness. I laughed until I realized he was serious. But there was something disarming about him. Maybe it was the way he remembered every little thing I said. How he really laughed when I told him my worst middle school story. Or how he looked at me when I wasn't speaking, like silence itself meant something when shared between us. Still, I resisted. Evan was too much. I told my mom, "I need someone who doesn't fall apart every 5 minutes." She shrugged. "You need someone who makes you feel. You've been numb since Brandon." I hated when she brought up my ex, hated more that she was right. Brandon was hot, yes. Passionate? Definitely. But he loved control more than he loved me. He walked out the same week I lost my job, saying he couldn't be my therapist. I didn't need a therapist. I needed someone who didn't make me feel like a failure for bleeding. Evan didn't run when I was quiet, or moody, or distant. He just stayed. One night, Evan invited me to his place for dinner. He cooked garlic shrimp pasta, had a candle flickering on the table, and Sufjan Stevens playing low in the background. When I walked into the kitchen, I found him standing still, tears running down his cheeks. "Oh my God! What happened?" I rushed to him. He wiped his eyes, laughing through a sob. "The pasta just reminded me of this little boy I used to work with in San Diego. He was nonverbal, but he'd hum when he liked something. I made him shrimp pasta once. He hummed so loud the whole room stopped. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there. And then Evan said, 'You think I'm too much, don't you?' Silence. 'I don't know,' I finally whispered. 'I think I'm afraid of how much you feel, because I don't think I know how to feel like that anymore.' He nodded, lips quivering, and stepped forward. 'But maybe,' he said, 'we could meet in the middle?' We stood there, inches apart, heartbeats loud in the tiny kitchen. Then I kissed him, not because I was sure, but because for the first time in years I wanted to try. A month later, Evan moved in. My mom was thrilled, obviously. She started referring to Evan as her future son-in-law. And Evan, bless him, cried. Life with Evan was not what I imagined. He left sticky notes everywhere. On my fridge, "You're doing amazing." In my car, "You're strong even when you feel tired." On my pillow, "Thank you for trying." I wasn't used to being cared for like this. When I had a panic attack one night, he didn't freak out. He didn't try to fix me. He just held my hand and cried with me. That made me mad, actually. I told him, "Why do you always cry?" And Evan looked at me with eyes that had known hurt and said, "Because I spent so many years being told not to. That shut me up." I started noticing things, like how he lit up when he saw dogs on the street, how he talked to kids like they were old souls, how he kept all his old journals stacked neatly in the closet, but never reread them. Said the past was beautiful, but it didn't own him. I wanted to protect him, to hold his hand through the dark parts. But most of all, I wanted to be vulnerable too. The real test came the night I got the call about my dad. Heart attack. Gone before the ambulance even arrived. I collapsed in the hallway. Couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Evan found me like that. He didn't say anything. Just knelt beside me, wrapped his arms around me, and let the silence hold. I cried for the first time in years. Sobbed into his shoulder until my throat hurt. Evan didn't speak. He didn't try to say it would be okay. He just cried with me, and that was when I understood. His tears weren't weakness. They were a form of love, the purest I'd ever seen. 6 months later, we stood in a quiet backyard, surrounded by fairy lights and our closest friends. Evan cried as he read his vows. Of course he did. I cried too. We laughed through the tears, kissed, and promised to try every day. Not to be perfect, but to stay, to feel, to love, even when it hurts. Because loving Evan means I cry more often than I used to, but it also means I've never felt more alive. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.